Feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges and seeking healing? Welcome to Your Love Talk, a safe haven where you'll discover effective strategies to overcome obstacles. Join Dr. Beverly Booth as she explores inspiring tales of resilience from individuals who have triumphed over adversity, emerging stronger and more fulfilled. Unleash your inner strength and embark on a journey of transformation. Now, here's your host, Dr. Beverly.
Welcome to Your Love Talk. I am so thrilled to welcome Ken Moorman to this podcast episode today. Ken's story is a testament to resilience, vision, and the transformative power of community. From dreaming of becoming a business owner as a child to taking a leap of faith after years of government service, Ken founded Jirani Coffeehouse, a space that has become more than just a coffee shop. But Ken's journey wasn't without its challenges. While launching Jirani's, he faced two significant personal losses that tested his strength and resolve. In this conversation, Ken opens up about how the support of his family, friends, and business partners helped him navigate these tough times and kept him moving forward. Tune in to hear this inspiring journey and learn how we can all harness our inner entrepreneurial spirit, even in the face of life's toughest challenges. Hi, Ken. Welcome to the Love Talk podcast.
Hello, Beverly. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm so excited to participate.
That is so great. I'm not sure how long ago, maybe 10 years when you opened up your coffee shop. I don't know if it's that long, but I remember going to the event of, I think the ribbon cutting. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yes. And I was truly so excited for you. And we had a lot of people there. So, it's just really wonderful to be able to have you come and share your story and to share the things that you are doing. I was actually inspired by the fact that you are not just an entrepreneur, but you're also an author.
Yes.
And you wrote the book called On the Other Side of My Dream. Yeah. I love that title. Can you share with our listening audience what the dream was for you?
Sure. So I would say the number one question I will get when customers or people walk into Jirani and they'll see me and they would say, well, how did you do this? So it fell on my heart to put it in a book. So on the other side of my dream is from an entrepreneurial perspective, is my life from a kid to now as to how I built this coffee shop, Jirani Coffeehouse. So it's, and it's really geared for entrepreneurs. I'm busy. I can't read huge books. So it's a quick read. How sometimes you get a book and they just drag the nuggets till you get to the end and nugget is in the next book. I hate that. So as an entrepreneur, when I find time to get to a book, I need to get something out of it. So my desire is that one, people would see themselves in my story. And two, if they read a page or two, there's something on the 1 or 2 pages that they can get and use in their own life or in their dream.
Okay, thank you. So you said the name of the coffee house is Jirani's. What does Jirani mean?
Yeah, Jirani in Swahili means neighbor or neighborhood. So neighborhood coffee house. In 2012, I went on a missions trip to Ghana there, and it just changed my life. I couldn't understand, but I do understand how I could leave Manassas, Virginia, fly all the way to Africa and felt at home. I came home, but I've never been there, right? So I always felt like one day I'm going to go back and do either business or I'm going to do something in Africa. So the one I bring a piece here and name a coffee shop Jirani. So
beautiful. I've actually been to Ghana a couple of times, so I know what you mean.
Yes.
Really an amazing experience. So take us back to this dream as a little boy. How did it come to you that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, to open up a coffee house? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. When you're in elementary school and they ask, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? So just imagine they ask Susie, what do you want to be? She said, a nurse. And they asked Johnny, what do you want to be? Fireman. Well, when they got to me, teacher said, Ken, what do you want to be? I said, a businessman. I grew up right outside of North Philadelphia, and I haven't been exposed to a businessman in my life at that age, or even going through high school. I didn't know anyone, let alone anyone African American that was a businessman. Actually, I knew one. That was my dad, his best friend, but I never seen it. He just told me, Mr. Bernard owns a box cutting, some kind of box company. So it was in my spirit, but I didn't have exposure to it. And how I come to open up a coffee house is working in the federal government. Man, it's now 11 years ago. Jirani in March will be 9 years open.
Okay.
Almost 11 years ago, I get off the train. It's a normal day. Get off the VRE, get in the car, and I hear a voice that says, I need you to open up a coffee house right over there. And that's in Manassas Park, Virginia.
Yeah.
And it was like an inside out voice, but it was clear to me. So I shook it off and I kept going. Then I need you to open up a coffee house right over there. Pulled to the side of the road. And this is nuts. A licensed real estate agent at that time.
Okay.
For many, many years. And I'm looking over there and all the buildings are vacant. You know how you have the condos and then underneath you got commercial spaces. They had already at that time been vacant for 10 years. Why would I try to do something there it's been empty? Why would I need you to open up a coffee house right over there. Oh, okay. I need to go tell, my wife, I had to say, come home and say, hey, God told me we need to open up a coffee house right over there. You know what she said, right?
What did she say? Are you crazy?
You're crazy. And I was, right? Because, she had just come home, leaving her 6-figure job to homeschool the kids. The timing was off. It just was not the right time for this. And to kick it all off, I didn't even drink coffee at the time. So, and I love coffee now, but what I did know is that I wasn't crazy. And I knew the voice that I heard inside my head was so clear. And I was like, well, what does it take to research, right? I just said, just remember one day I came to you and said, we're supposed to open this coffee house while we're trying to figure out what we're going to do in the world. Just remember I said that. Mm-hmm. So she was like, all right. And then so quietly I started YouTubing and Googling everything about coffee because I didn't drink it. I didn't know. I didn't grow up with a coffee house. I don't think I've ever even been in one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I didn't go. I like to sing, so I know all about teas and things for the throat, but not coffee. And when I explored the world of coffee, it was overwhelming. I realized this is all cultures. Coffee is to me, one of the common denominators, all cultures. You and I don't have to be able to speak the same language where we can sit with a cup of coffee and enjoy each other, right? It's amazing what coffee can do. So then a few weeks later, she was like, you ever check on that coffee house? Right. And I'm like, no. But I was. And I said, so I started. Then I really started going after once I got the family behind me, and it just snowballed from there.
Wow. So how did you get to the place where you had this spirit tell you to open up this coffee house? You saw all these vacant buildings to get to the place where you actually decided, I'm going to go ahead and do it and actually launch it.
Yeah. So a couple of things happened. When I started looking at my life out for many years, I did new store sets for TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Foreman Mills. So I knew I could go to a city, build a big box building, get the construction done, hire the people. I knew operations, and I tell that part of the story to remind people all the little jobs and things you didn't like or all the ones you did love, they're all in preparation for the dream.
Yes.
I pulled all of those skill sets. I just didn't know what to do, but I knew if it required a building, I knew how to get it done. I did training other managers. So, but what I learned, so I started doing a little test. I started telling a few trusted people close to me, hey, I'm thinking about opening up a coffee house. And people's response was like, oh my God, yeah, what, you got it? Please, you got to do it. Ooh,
really?
How can I help? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just thinking about it. And then a friend of mine, I was working in the federal government and I went to a training, and the lady, I knew she lived in Manassas Park. And I said, hey, friend, I'm thinking about opening up a coffee shop in Manassas Park. And she was like, you got to do it, Ken. Come to find out, she was on the school board. She said, can you come to a meeting? And I'm like, yeah, that's how I was like, well, what? She said, I need you to come to City Hall. We have a meeting. So that next day I went to City Hall, and I didn't know why I was there. And I seen all, the mayor, they were in their meeting. And then she comes out and calls me into the session. The mayor is meeting with the city council. And then I'm like, why am I here? So I'm sitting there. Then she called me back out, introduced me to a guy. And she said, hey, Ken is going to open up a coffee house right across the street. Right. Now I told her I was thinking. And he was like, Ken, do me a favor. Just promise me, just try. Just need you to try. Right. Come to find out, he was a city lawyer of Manassas Park at the time.
Oh, wow.
Right. Then he called somebody else. Right. Hey, Ken is going to open up a coffee house. I'm panicking on the inside, like, she was like, hey, all I need you to do is try. We need someone to try. We need that. And she was the economic development director.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. So I started telling different people, everybody was just so excited about the concept of a place where community can meet, coffee. And so it built my courage, up to like say, let's go, let's build it. Then I just kicked in. We're going to do it. Got the family's approval. Let's go.
Wonderful. Yeah. So did you get funding from banks to be able to start this?
Yes. So no, but I started off, I was working with the local small business associate. I forgot the name of it, but they help you.
At the SBA.
Yeah, go from the concept to get an SBA loan. And I got right to the final part. Mm-hmm. And something in my spirit said, I have some people for this. And I was like, okay. And I do business. Don't use your own money. Why would I do it? Yeah. Also know this is an inspired business, right? Mm-hmm. What is inspired business? Something that was given to you that you didn't come up with.
Yeah. Wow.
Come up with Jirani Coffeehouse. I wish I was that brilliant because it's amazing. I'm not. I was just in the right place, right time, and I had enough faith to be crazy and do it. So I was like, okay, so if I don't get this money, who? I prayed, right? And I knew a couple people. I had money and then got a partner. Jesse is this amazing human, and I just love him. He came in and he had a similar vision, but wasn't sure, how to go about it. So between him and I, we pretty much funded the whole thing. And then we got a couple other partners just being obedient to finding whoever God was saying would help.
Yeah. I
asked 3 people. What I did was pull up a couple slides, and I didn't even know what to call the place. It was just called Jazzy Java at the time, right? Because, how do you explain what you see when you go in there? I didn't know. And then all I did was show them the slides, and they were like, we're in. I was like, oh.
Wow.
And like I had one of them said, hey, I want part of this legacy. So he had that, and I love him. And he had that much insight into what God was sharing through me to him. They've been amazing the whole round. So it's self-funded. Do I recommend it? No, unless God tell you. I'll do that. But the next one is not self-funded. We'll talk about that. But only because God had told me to do it. So
yeah, no, that's amazing. That's truly amazing. So, when I walk into Jirani's now, it's pretty busy. It's been busy. Yeah. People all over Old Town Manassas and probably outside of Manassas is actually visiting. That's beautiful. The beautiful coffee house, and the location is great. So we hit this pandemic 4 years ago, and a lot of service industries did not make it. So how did you get through this season?
Yes, that was a tough one. So we're relocated in between 2 other restaurants. So we're not on the curb. So we couldn't do curbside. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Literally over our fireplace, our whole business model is about gathering. So we couldn't gather, right? So I'm like, I remember sitting on this stage. So I would still go in Jirani. I don't know if you remember where we had to set tables like 6 feet apart. It was kind of crazy now. Like, it don't really make sense what they had to do, but they didn't know. It's Philly. Yeah. It's airborne.
Yeah.
So I had furniture all in the back, and then I wound up moving it all off. And I'm sitting on the stage, and I was still working federal government. And I'm working from there, and I'm just alone. So I would just sit in there. I would just pray, and I'm like, God, what am I going to do? You told me to open this shop. I can't have anyone in here. This is it. I gave it my all. And 2 different times, people knocked on the door, and it made me emotional. Opened it up, and 2 different times, people pushed $100 bill in my hand. They were like, we got to take care of you.
My gosh. Wow.
I mean, some special stuff happens in this place. That's how I knew. I'm like, we're going to make it. Like, I don't know. I was crying in front of these people. Like, y'all don't know. This is during COVID. He puts $100 bill in my hand. I'm like, and what that $100 did during that time, it seemed crazy, but it was like, it was amazing. And that was just signs of saying how it's going to make. And then, so oddly enough, and we do a great job of keeping our paperwork together, which that was for a lot of small businesses, that's a big challenge. Do you have your paperwork together? So to get PPP loans, it was difficult for a lot, but we were like, okay, let's get this loan. We got denied. We're like number one candidate. We were like, why are we getting denied?
Oh, wow.
We had to resubmit. And when I tell you the last second, just when it was getting, just had to fold it up. Even though the owner of the building was working with us, PPP loan came through and that's what helped us bridge that gap. And then we were the last business in Old Town Manassas to open because they forced us because we still wanted to be responsible for our customer and not get people sick. Because they'll come in there and just feel at home and forget we still got COVID going on. So, but we made it through. And then now when I go there, and I saw you a couple of weeks ago in there, every time I'm seeing all those people. Yeah. That's not walk by traffic. That's people who left their location to come to my location. So I just take that. I'm so grateful for that, right? So 90% are people that left home and came there or left some other place specifically to sit in. So I'm grateful.
It's a beautiful atmosphere.
Thank you.
It really is. So you talked about in your book, you actually faced challenges, even during this dream being fulfilled. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, we're going through the build out stage and, two things happened. So in 2015, we opened in March of 2016. So 2015, we were building it out. And when we found that location, we got it 6 months in advance, just before we were ready, because we didn't want no one else to take it. Right. So, excuse me. But anyway, we were building it out. And then long story short, my mom had early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh, sorry.
And my sister was taking care of her, doing an amazing job. And she said, oh, well, you need to come on home. Mom getting a routine, some kind of checkup or procedure. Think you should come. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna head on up. And so I left the build out, drove to see her. And when I got to the hospital, I was looking to see my sister and my brother, and they wasn't there. So I went into the room, finally found the room, and there was priests in front of it. And I'm like, is this Joyce Moorman's room? And he was like, he was startled. He said, who are you? I said, I'm her son. I just came from Virginia. When I was walking up, and this is in the book, when I was walking up, I can see the curtain, and see the feet scurrying under this room. He was like, I had to no, your mom passed.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, so she had a pulmonary embolism while doing this procedure, right? Yeah. So then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm the youngest, right? And now I got to tell my older brother and sister, Mom gone. They ain't thinking something happened. Turned around and looked down the hallway. They got off the elevator and we just stared and they just knew. I'm like, So then I'm like, oh gosh, I'm broken. I got this whole community is just like so excited about this place. I don't want to go back in it. Yeah. I got my kids, like my grandmother. I'm like, how am I going to get through all of this? And I went back, and when I tell you the amount of love that community showed me was just, love is powerful. Like, we talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't really know. It is.
And you don't always know until you're going through difficulties.
Yes, it is everything.
Yeah.
So that community, when they got a whiff of what was going on, just on pouring, it was almost too much, So if you go to Jirani, you know how you order your coffee, the wall with the menu on it and all those bricks back there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So from a clinical standpoint, you probably know what this is. But for me, when I went back and in one night, I put up all those bricks. It was just like, Mom, this is for you. I poured my mom, my emotion in there. So even sometimes now when I go there, I get a flash.
Yeah. Wow.
And then my partner came at the next morning. He was like, yo, even the construction guys, like,
did this a memorial
overnight. I was in there. And and it's special to me to this day. So I just poured into my dream, to help me get through. And so that was that. And the following year, 2016, late Christmas night, I get a call. Long story short, my oldest son, Chuck, he was walking down the street not far from his mother's house. He was 21 at the time. This Christmas would be 7 years, but he got hit by a car and he passed.
Oh my God.
Now I'm like, okay, I lost my mom. The next year I lost my
That's a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot on the family. It was a lot on me. It was a lot on the community. Now, when he was in 8th grade, he came to live with me from his mom, and then he went to school there. So all the people there knew him. And now Jirani's open, thriving. It's this amazing place. People love it.
Yeah.
And now, boom, this hits. And I'm like, how do I do this? And how do I keep it all going? Just couldn't make sense of it. Challenging times. I'm still blown away. That's why I talk about the importance of building a team, a strong team. So they held it down, really did. And gave me the time I needed, the time I thought I needed. I needed more time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I would have did it different, but you did what you do to get through. But yeah, I often think if I didn't have this dream, I've learned for me, like sometimes like when you have a dream, you hold on to the dream. The dreams are there to hold on to when life gets really hard.
Yeah.
So if it was just me, that's one thing. But I had that dream that I could hold on to and focus on during these hard, tough times. And I put my attention and energy in that. It really allowed me to like pull through. And even know that, maybe one of my callings is to teach people how to get through while you're having your dream,
Yeah.
No one ever talks about it. You talk about the dream, but it's like the dream really don't care about your life.
Yeah, that's so true. You're right. Life doesn't stop. The things will happen. It's not this smooth sailing linear line. Challenges happen.
Yes.
Even when we don't expect it, and we got to figure out then how to maneuver through it.
Yes.
And it can be really hard. And as you talked about going through your grief and needing time, and there's no set time. It's not like 6 months, a year. It really depends on each individual person, to figure out, how to process all the stuff that's actually happening.
Yes, definitely an individual journey, a lot of discovery of yourself, just really taking yourself to the edges of yourself and knowing, there's been times I'm just blessed because I would say people are like, well, how'd you get through war? Well, for me, there were times where if you can I'm real visual. So if you can imagine, I would say I would see myself in a hole, but I was so grateful that one, I knew I was in one and I caught myself before the hole was over my head. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then as time went on, got some therapy, some other tools I learned, the more I learned about grief and stages I was in, and it helped me to understand where I was at. So, but every now and then I don't get in the hole anymore. I'm not in the hole, but it's in my peripheral. I can see it over in the corner, which keeps me grateful.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're able to, get the support that you needed to get through that dark hole.
Yes.
Whether it was therapy, whether it's business partners, friends, family. It sounds like you had a lot of support systems to sort of really help you during that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of my things on life, I feel I'm called to love, right? Just in general, on a basic human being level, without getting too deep. But because of that, I was put in a position where I had to learn how to receive an abundance of love. You would think that's easy to just, people loving on you, take it. Like, you got to be in a space to receive.
Yeah. It's
been a journey. I'm grateful. I've learned to focus on the people I can touch and remember, my loved ones, and since then, so many, like my aunt passed who helped raise me, my grandmother passed. Since then, it was just like, wow. Now they were all older, it's just the timing of it. It's time in the 80s. It's, what do you do, but it was just like, wow, that up.
Yeah.
But again, it makes me walk with a different level of gratitude and graciousness and try to be present. Right now I'm with you. I ain't nowhere else. I'm right here.
I love that. And that's so important to be able to learn how to be present, because so many of us, we worry about the future or we stress out about things that may have happened in the past. We can't change any of that, really. So it's really about just being able to be in that place of gratitude and being present today with the people that you're with.
Oh, man. Yes. I love that you said what stood out to me was learn. I did have to learn.
Yeah.
Especially as a dreamer and an entrepreneur. I mean, my mind is like so many years ahead. And I had to retrain my mind to like, be right here.
And I also like the fact that, because honestly, a lot of men, especially African-American men, don't always ask for help. And sometimes they keep so many things inside.
Yes.
So the fact that you're able to say, hey, you know what? I need support here. And then allowing people to really love on you. Is it something that was really good? That's important.
Thank you. Yeah. You nailed it. A lot of men struggle with that, especially African-American men.
Yeah.
And always been one to try to talk about the things that no one's talking about. Like, even when I look at my own childhood, I'm like, why my dad didn't tell me like how hard this grown man thing is? This is hard. This is like, I just wanted to be grown, but he needed, he was older. So he was just like, you'll see. No, so with my sons, I'm like, let me share this pressures.
Yeah.
To really get into it. Right. So yeah, I try to talk a little more than the average. I try to share than the average,
And that's good. And honestly, I think, when we go through challenges, it's really important to be able to talk about what we went through and also talk about how we got through it. Yes. And it just gives people hope, whether it's family members, friends, people that you meet, it gives people hope and that they are not alone.
And perspective. It took me a while before I can get counseling, like so over a year or so. I just couldn't do it. And then I finally went to church I was going to at the time. They were having a group grief counseling session. So let me get in here. And when I got in there, not to minimize my own, but I'm looking at people who are, I lost my child. They're saying they lost all 4 of their kids in a car accident at the same time. Really? They lost my uncle. And I was just like, wow. But I'm looking at them still making it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that encouraged me, just like, wow. So I'm like, and I look at my kids, I'm like, ooh, okay. All right, let me, pull it together and understand, like, like I said, not to minimize my own, but there's people really feeling. So, yeah.
It gives perspective, definitely.
Perspective, yeah.
So, Ken, what were some of the lessons learned, even in terms of accomplishing this dream, but going through challenges along the way?
One of my biggest lessons learned is when you have an inspired business or something and your spirit tells you to do something, it wasn't you, but you're doing it, right? I don't want to block anyone, to keep you open. If it tells you to do it, prepare for ultimate success immediately. So I say that because, business-wise, when we were opening up Jirani, I did all the normal, like, okay, you need 6 months, you need 3 months of payroll to make sure you're good when you open. I had 6. Okay, we made sure we had enough inventory and money for additional money. I had double. I need to make sure. So we opened up the doors and you was there that first day and it was 200 people there that day. Like, boom, lines everywhere. We're scrambling. If you're busy, it costs money. You got to feed that engine to keep up with the busyness, right? So that meant more product.
Yes.
More money for merchandise and product.
Yeah.
Right. Then we didn't have enough refrigerator space. So we had to buy more refrigerators. We had to buy more to keep up with the demand. And I realized all of our capital was gone in 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
2 months. By the 3rd month, we couldn't barely pay. Even though we were busy, we couldn't barely pay them. Employees, the way the money come in is like a 2-week cycle before, you really.
Yeah.
I'm like, this place is packed and we're about ready to close tomorrow, right? So I realized you can't do normal things when you operate in a spiritual way, right? So now what was happening, the worst time when we were just out of money, we done spent all our own money feeding this amazing space, and this group comes in, and late at night we had an event. It was about 6 of them, and it was like from a church, and they were saying, who's the owner? And they found me, and they were like, what is this? And I said, oh, it's a coffee house. We do events. We support the community. Same old spiel. They're like, no. What is this? And I said, well, it's a coffee house. No. They said, do you know for 3 years we will walk in Old Town Manassas praying that God will put a coffee house here.
Oh, no.
I promise you, right? I got so many stories. It's like,
what?
And I was like, huh? They was like, yes. There was a prayer group and they would walk around there.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just, they were crying. And I'm like, now mind you, there's a full-on show going on. And these people were on the side, like, they just could not believe their prayer.
Oh my
I told them more about Jirani. We got scriptures behind the wall. Then they were just like, wow. So one of those ladies came back a week later, and we were out of money. And she said, I need to talk to you. And I said, yes. She said, I got something for you. And I'm like, okay. So she handed me a check. And she said, God told me to give you this. And I was like, now mind you, we had no money in the bank. I probably packed place. It was a check for $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, God told me to give it to you. And I'm like, now this is how being able to receive love. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's a scam. You know how like when you deposit the check, they can take all your. I'm like, now I'm looking at this lady. She's a nurse, RN. I want to get the right. She's been it for years, high ranking. But she was like, no, every year I put money to a side and I pray and ask God who gets this.
Oh my goodness.
And he told me to give it to you. And then, so I told my partner, they couldn't believe it. My family couldn't. They were like, wait, who does this? Like,
look at God.
So we go still in the natural.
Yeah.
We pull up a contract because we want to pay her our money back. And she said, no, that's not my money. That's not my money. I don't know. No, she will not receive any payment. She said, that is not my money. And when I tell you that $20,000 as part of the key is like Jirani, it's still open.
Oh my goodness. And you deposited that check and it cashed.
And we was like, wow. Still to this day, it's one of my greatest stories about that space and human beings and spiritual. Like, you really can't do anything alone.
Yeah.
Like we really are designed to operate and function on earth together, and when we are obedient to that, this is what happens, right? It just flows. I'm still blown away.
That's an amazing story. It also reminds us when God calls you to do something, he will make sure that the path is cleared for you to be able to be successful.
Yes.
Okay. Other lessons learned.
I'm trying to pull down one of the many. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier, the power of having a strong team. And the team could be anyone other than yourself. You don't have to have a lot of people, but someone or a group of people that understand the vision and the visionary and don't go outside of that.
Okay.
I always say, I think, when I work with clients or whatever, it's a price to pay if you go before the visionary. You have to check in. What do they see? Where are we going? Suggest things. But at the end of the day, it's like, stay within this vision. And it's because of that team that couldn't have done it without them. There's no way I could have pulled through. Another thing, lesson learned too, along your journey as an entrepreneur, we hear the stories about like, oh, family, they're not going to support you. This is cookie cutter or broad. It's not everyone's. It wasn't mine, but I do know this is true. Like a lot of family won't support you, best friends, whatever. But a big lesson learned is the new people will show up in your life that so committed to your vision and you that you just have to accept the new people, and not any and everyone. So you got to make sure you're tapped in and you understand who's coming. But there are new people that'll show up. You ever meet someone new and you're like, I can't remember when we met, right? Like there's we're tapped into a different time zone, but they're operating as if they knew you for years, loving on you and providing and supporting you as if we've been friends for 10, 20, 30 years. And I just met you last year, but they operate. Those are the ones they're sent to assist you in your vision or your dream.
Yeah.
And so whenever I meet people, and if you make this a practice, it helps you to identify who are these people. If you're spiritual, when I sit and talk to anybody, the whole time I'm asking, I'm praying, Lord, why is this person in my space? You and I met the last 2 weeks. I was praying the whole time. I'm like, what am I supposed to do for her? What I'm supposed to get from her? And I'm on your show right now, right?
Yeah, you have a podcast.
I didn't even know you had one, right? So when you asked, I was just like, it wasn't a stretch because I literally was praying while we were talking. First, I'm like, what am I supposed to do for her as service? What does she need? And that you don't seem like you need anything, right? I know that's what I was going to say because
we need each other.
I had in my biggest times of need, people were like, you don't seem like you need anything. Standing in Jirani, I'm like, are you serious? So I make it my point to give them, who do I know that can help them? So I'm listening. And then I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to get from them?
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast as well, because there's others who are listening
Mm-hmm.
who want to hear your story or hear
Mm-hmm.
the stories of the various guests that's on the podcast, because there's something that you have been through that can help someone else and
Yes.
give hope, and when they feel like giving up, they persevere. So I'm so glad that you are here to share whatever it is that you're going through and what you've been through. And
Mm-hmm.
it does give people that hope.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I received stories sometime on social media, folks that know my story, and they've told
Mhm.
me, man, I've been going through my stuff and I click on social media and see you running.
Mhm.
And they're like, just keep doing it, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't realize the impact we have just living our lives.
Yeah.
Others, right? And I have to remind myself that, like,
Mhm.
and that's one of the things I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let their passing be in vain. I'm gonna make a difference.
I like that.
You know.
And we're only here for a season. As you
Oh,
went through all these losses, it's
yes,
a reminder, right?
it's a reminder. Yeah,
Yeah.
you realize like, okay, this is yeah, and this is also you get enough on the other side. You realize there's a whole lot of things going on.
Yeah.
If you tapped in, that's like, which makes you really treasure your time here. It's like, oh, this is just a little blip, whether it's 70, 80, 90 years. So yeah.
I hear you. So for your team, how did you identify who's on your team? Like, is it more your business partners, family members? Like, who are
Yeah.
your team members?
So the team, again, so in my past, I would build management teams for
Okay.
big multi-billion-dollar companies.
Okay.
So I had my partner. I knew I needed an interior designer. So a family friend brought her on. We got a store manager and then two assistant managers. I had a graphic artist, but he's an amazing artist, Jerry, and he's the one that designed all the branding for Jirani. He's just amazing, and he's a very spiritual brother. So pulled him on the team, and again, this was just like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a coffee house. Yeah, right. So pulled that team together, and we met in my house once a month, a year before build out, we simply talked about everything we love in coffee shops and everything we don't like. And we just built it there and just kept going. There's a whole bunch of creatives. And then that monthly meeting became almost like a spiritual thing, a time of prayer. Like we knew we were coming to do something bigger than any of us was doing. And these guys are already successful in their own careers. Like something about taking that risk to do something that will bless others, even if it ain't fully clear at the time, but as we move on and get closer, I always say that in hindsight, the more you believe, the more you will see. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I first got that download was like, I need you to open a coffee house. I think I've seen a coffee house, but as I started taking steps forward, I can see the brick, I can see the colors, I can see the people in that. I had playlists of the music that would be playing in there. I would listen to that. This is a year prior in my mind. Like this is when you think about coffee shops and the kind of, cool music it had. I came up with a playlist. I just really engulfed myself in the vision. It comes to fruition.
Oh, wow.
You can apply that to anything.
Yeah, that's so true. You have to have a vision, and you have to be still to be able to hear that voice, like that voice that you heard, that spiritual voice that I call it God speaking to you, and being able to have this amazing faith, that when you begin to really listen and do whatever you're called to do, you will see it manifested,
Really does. It really does. And it always amazed me. Like I love architecture and stuff like that. Like how do someone have that vision to build? Mm-hmm. There was someone or a group of people that's like, how do you come up with Dubai? Goodness.
That's all the giftings that we have. We have our own gifts.
Yes.
So Ken, what would you tell people who are afraid to go after their dream because they are thinking that they might fail, or even those who have a dream and they're doing it, but they're struggling to keep it alive? What would you tell them?
Yeah, if you're scared to do your dream, first of all, I think fear is part of it. Yes, I was scared, but I knew that it was time for me I was so unhappy in my job. I've never had a job I liked. So
Okay.
I'm 54, right? So I never, and I had a good government job. I didn't need to do Jirani. Financially, I was fine. I didn't need all that pressure, anything, but just, it's like for once in my life, can I give it a shot to do something I want to do that I feel I'm supposed to do? Sound cliche-ish, but it's the truth. Sometimes you just got to start off doing it afraid.
Yeah.
No one never said they wasn't scared when they did it. They just, there's just fear. And the more you start looking into what is fear, and because I had a lot of fear in the beginning, I focused on, I'm glad this came up. I like to share this. I focused on the word believe and believe, right? Look up all the definitions on it and really meditate on the word believe. And you realize there's so many different variations and versions of the definition. There's so many levels to belief. But the more you focus on believing, guess what you focus less on? Fear.
Yes, that's true. I love that.
In those moments, you can take one little step. And a lot of times, because we get fearful, because as visionaries, we see finished product. It's like, how am I going to get there? Just take the little step.
Yeah.
Make a call, send an email, call someone like me. Hey, send me a social media. Someone like me, like, I'm thinking about, baby, move forward. For those that you're in your vision, your dreaming is just getting hard. And sometimes I've had to do this, through COVID, ask the hard questions. Sometimes we're in things because we really wanted to do it and it's just what I wanted to do. And we might not have enough information. So now we're like over our head, like I always say, I do business consulting. If I would have known a Ken Moorman, I would have hired Ken and saved me $100,000 of loss that I did. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we open these business because we got to go and we're doing it. But when you're in it, sometimes you got to step away. Sometimes you can't even get away with step. You can take an hour here.
Yeah.
Take some time and really think like, okay, what do I need? Who do I need to bring in to either get me to sustaining and so I can get on the place where I can elevate? Who can I add to this team? Consultant, or who do I need to remove from this team or this situation? Sometimes it's, what I need to do in my personal life to get a little more stable so I can think and then operate this business the way it is. Because as a visionary, you're not solid. It gets hard to run these businesses. I'm not saying we have to be perfect, but if we just don't have a good foundation, it makes everything harder, which we know it, but that pressure.
Yeah.
So it's about really just assessing if you're in this business that you got and it's just seemed hard and life is kicking in, find that support you need. There's tons of support on all levels, depending on where you at financially or no funds. There's free support. There's support, that you can pay into and get you the support you need to come out, get you going. And then sometimes you actually, and you said it, or you said the word earlier, ask yourself, is the season over? Sometimes the season, it's time to wrap it up. Like I tell people, like for Jirani, for me, Jirani is the thing to the thing for me.
Okay. It's like
a Jirani. Jirani, doing Jirani gave me enough faith to do the bigger thing. So it's revealed, right? So some things ain't supposed to be all my life, and some things might be, especially when you start seeing like, oh, Kmart closed, JCPenney closed, right? I grew up with those; they're gone, right? But in those years, what that provided that family and generational wealth, and exposure, and it ain't forever, but. And it's hard because I'm sitting in Jirani empty during COVID. And I'm like, this is it? I do everything right. I did all I could. One thing I've learned over the last couple of years and got put on my spirit, in order to grow, I have to let go. And just that in all areas of your life.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And also even the business, are you talking about the business? It's important to be able to gain perspective when you are not just working in the business, but you're working on it, right? You can't, you have to be able to pull yourself out, even if it's an hour you mentioned or a couple of hours, just to be able to, get away for a minute, learning how to be still, and then really seeing what it is that you need.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I like that.
You mentioned too, and I wanted to thing that I learned in hindsight. And, a lot of times you see these on TV and stuff in movies, you see business people are always on retreats, size. And, when you become an entrepreneur, there's so much pressure that no one talks about.
Yeah.
And now that I'm that and I meet others and they're telling me, no, Ken, this is what we're doing to maintain. The common denominator for most very, 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 very successful and wealthy entrepreneurs is they all meditate. So you say they got to be still because you got to pull it in. You gotta get that massage. You have to meditate and meditate could be, we're not talking a lot of times like lighting candles and all that. Sometimes it's just whatever brings you. Yes, a walk. And this is my time for me.
Yes.
And out here, whatever you do, but it's your time.
Yeah.
Like kind of be that part of human being, just be whatever that is. Do that intentionally though. It's about being, I'm intentional. This is my time, y'all. I need 15 minutes or 3 hours, whatever.
Yeah. Makes sense. And having systems in place. It sounds like you have systems in place because you are getting ready to launch another
one.
Patient, right?
Yes. So we're building it out. So almost 7 years to date from the time I got the voice to say, I need you to open up a coffee house here in Manassas Park. I tried there. It didn't work. The people that had bad management, it wasn't the city who was managing the building. They wouldn't lease it to me. So we walked to Old Town Manassas. Mm-hmm. Now, in the place that I got, God told me to build it, we're building it back there.
Oh, wow.
Well, the original vision was to build it, and it's going to be the City of Manassas Park built a 4-story City Hall building. Underneath there's 2 commercial spots. And so we're on one. So, and Jirani Coffeehouse now, we have our little library. So
love the library.
They were like, Ken, what we want to do is instead of walking your little library, we're going to put a door, and that's going to be the door to the brand new 2-story library, City Library.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. So the library is connected to Jirani 2 in Manassas Park, and hopefully that'll be open first quarter 2025.
Oh, excellent. And I think I remember when I went to the ribbon cutting that, I don't know, it was the mayor, I forgot who it was, but they mentioned having more than one Jirani's.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember
that's amazing. Yes. Yes. And I was just like, wow. And it's hard. Like every neighborhood needs a coffee house. Place, a gathering space. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
We protect this space. This is where we come. So, one of the visions is, we'll put one in every neighborhood. And we've been asked in every city in Northern Virginia and crossing over to DC, please bring it here. But, I've since learned like the value it brings to community. Sometimes you just have a vision or a dream and you do it. And then it's like, man, so God gave me a blueprint of how to bring community together through this venue, through coffee and arts. Okay, that's valuable. Yeah.
And it's needed, especially now, the need for connection.
Oh, gosh. And so they want it. We want it so important. So, it's about where, and then trying to partner with the cities and the counties is like, well, help me. I shouldn't have to spend $600,000 on my own. I know it's going to help you.
Yeah, it takes a lot of money.
It's a lot of money
to do this. Yeah, that's amazing. So this is called Your Love Talk. And one of the things that we really try to do is to feed ourselves positive messages, especially to stay motivated. Are there words of affirmation that you give yourself, especially when you're going through some challenging moments and you're trying to keep going?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I have on my phone, you got to use these phones. They're made. But they have reminders that pop up every day, right? To just remind me, I got something every day, several times a day. You're amazing. Mm. You are enough.
Yeah.
You're handsome. I got it from all around.
Yeah.
You can do this. What about the community? So sometimes I have to so it ain't all about me. I get things that remind me it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then 2, Jirani, we have a 1-word mission statement, and it's love. And we don't define it. We just show you, right?
Yeah.
So different affirmations throughout the day pop up. I remind myself that, hey, you are enough. That was a big thing for me at one point. This focus over the last couple of years has been learning to love me first. That's it for me, even in this season right now. Like I can love on you all day. And then I ask myself, well, what does loving me look like? So I've been focusing on that. And it's just interesting when you really ask yourself. Now I challenge people close to me. I'm like, what does loving you look like? What really stumped me, like I couldn't off the top answer that for myself. Okay. And that made me like, let me dig into this. I need to know, especially at my age, like, what does loving me look like? what is putting me first unselfishly look like? That
So
has
what's the answer? What did you come up with?
I'm still figuring it out. You know what? Sometimes I start with the little things. Like before I do something for myself, for someone else, I ask, one, are you doing this for you? Would you do this for you? It could be a whatever situation. And it just keeps me, at least makes me conscious of thinking of me.
Yeah.
Because I just don't, think about that. Oh, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
God got me. Right. But so I'm always just thinking about, before I do for someone, would you do this for yourself? At a minimum, are you doing this for you? Are you driving, changing tires, or going to pick somebody else's kid, whatever it is? Did you do that for you? How are you taking care of you? I just ask myself those questions when I say all the time, because I really want to make sure I'm taking care of me. Because I realize if I don't do that, no matter how good the other people are doing, I'm doing them a disservice. I'm not giving them all food.
Yeah.
But
you
it's
have to be full to be able to give to others. You can't give from an empty cup.
Yes. And it's been exciting. I've been just the exploring of self.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life on another level. Right.
Yeah.
But with the true goal to come up with, what does it look like for Ken to be loving on himself? So I guess the next time I come on, I have the full.
You'll have more answers.
I have more answers.
Yeah, that's great. Ken, thank you for listening to God, for having this amazing vision and faith, and to be able to see this coffee house being manifested and even expanding. It's just a blessing to behold. And also just for this love that you have for others. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your love.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So how do people find you? You're on social media?
Yeah, social media, Ken Moorman _official. I had that a long time ago when they were doing official things.
Okay.
I get shy about it now.
Instagram?
Instagram, Ken Moorman _official, Facebook, Ken Moorman, and Ken Moorman _official, or kenmoorman.com, KenMoorman.com. You can get everything.
And if you are in the area, I'm sure he would love for you to visit Jirani's Coffeehouse.
Yes.
Old Town Manassas.
Old Town Manassas. 9425 West Street, Old Town Manassas. Swing by. Right? Come to the train station. You can't miss us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken, for sharing such a powerful message of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of entrepreneurship. Your journey is a reminder that even in the face of life's adversities, we can find opportunities for growth. The insights you've shared about channeling pain into building something meaningful, like your thriving business, Jirani's Coffeehouse, are truly inspiring. Your passion for serving others and creating a space where people feel at home is evident in every word you've spoken. I deeply admire your faith in God and your trust in Him to open doors and guide you in fulfilling the dream He placed in your heart a number of years ago. Jirani's is more than a coffee house. It's a community, a safe haven, and a testament to the power of perseverance and connection. Your story of resilience and determination will touch the hearts of many listeners. Thank you for sharing your story. I will leave you with 3 affirmations from my Love Talk card deck. The first is, I dream big so that I can experience greatness. The second is, I know the Creator lives within me and I am never alone. And the third is, I am a legacy builder for my generation and the generations to come. To purchase the Love Talk affirmation card deck or to listen to other podcast episodes, please visit yourlovetalk.com. To follow me on Instagram, please visit Dr. Beverly Booth. If you have enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your family and friends. Thank you for tuning into this episode today. This is Dr. Beverly from Your Love Talk. Blessings.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Your Love Talk. Remember, you're never alone in your struggles. Take the time to affirm yourself daily as an act of love to yourself. And know that this podcast is here to offer genuine support and guidance whenever you need it. For more insightful and transformative discussions, visit yourlovetalk.com to explore additional episodes. Take the next step forward with courage, knowing you can overcome any challenge. That's all for today. Until next time.